by, well, he laid it out of the last corner and got passed by Vinales over the line. So we know he's obviously a world-class rider. I'm actually, Ryder, looking very, very fast indeed.
This is 30 minutes of FP4. Michael Laverty sitting in between these conditions, do you think?
I think the first thing we're going to see is the tyre choices for the race. So whatever the guys are on now is I'm pretty sure that's what they'll do. Minutes of track time on here in FP4. So it's a race pace session for sure.
The wind has dropped more trouble than it was worth, it would seem to me.
Yeah, changing the time so that it's almost like 50%. And obviously I'm an ex-rider, but riders are never happy. You know, I mean, you can go on a weekend in Le Mans and it can be wet through more sessions. Hey, what's going on here? Yeah, something's happened.
He's had a very, very difficult weekend so far, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's 19th fastest. Incredible.
Valentino Rossi had it off earlier on. This is the man that has consistently been to throw a rod. Perhaps we shouldn't listen to that because I don't know. Can you understand Spanish?
Michael,
I've been a little bit trying to get the thing to stick, and even Valentino fell over.
It was awful. That session, FP3 for these guys. I went to speak to Carl to the right. It was just gusting
either
way. So he said if you're to race in those conditions, it'd be a nightmare. It'd be lethal.
Especially coming in right in the braking point on the final part of it.
Interesting to see how we've had all through the pre-season testing lots of
a more definitive set of rules for 2019 on aero. Aero is something it's got away from the race organisers, really, hasn't it? The whole subject.
Ducati have been the forefront of all wing development and aerodynamic work, and this weekend both Jorge Lorenzo and Andrea Dovizioso aren't running.
Vinales is not running wings, which the old dog didn't like the wings when they were first brought on.
No, and Marquez has got he's got the smallest.
So the next few, Danny Aldridge, technical director, did say to me that we're going to see some fairly weird and wonderful things over the next few weeks. Whether he was winding me up.
That was in development phase for the year after, so I've never actually tested the wings.
I think even there, I mean, they made Sam Lowe stick with the wings, didn't they, in the Aprilia?
Was on the Aprilia. Aleix walked over and shouted at the top of his voice like only Aleix could. You know what it's like, he's quite fiery. Why is Sam with this fairy at this level? That's the way a rider is being treated.
We've got some spare rubbish, so we'll bulk it on the number 2 rider.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what it was.
How much do you hate that? In the middle of Birmingham.
Oh, don't like tapas.
Benny and hot.
Wrong. Oh, I like that.
Just talking about the Goods currently sitting in 10th position, and he's been quite close to Aleix all weekend, so we're hoping Scott can turn it around a little bit and fix that side of the garage. And
needs, and I know the way that team works, it just needs a good opening to the season. So he needs the first 2 or 3 rounds.
The race meeting so far for me has been Tito Rabat.
That
has been going so well. He had a little off earlier on in FP3, which is
a customer Honda last year, so he's more comfortable, he's more at home, and he feels it's a more user-friendly package. And if Tito gets in his comfortable rhythm where he gets...
Scott Redding, Nicky Hayden. Oh, it's never performed. That's it.
Nicky Hayden, I remember watching him along the front straight at Sepang thinking that thing's
20s and the other the Ducati for sure.
Nakagami, any surprises to you there? I mean, he's looked really...
What he has said about Taka's riding style, he's actually surprised him and carrying a lot of corner speed. He's making the bike.
Because the way he rode a Moto2 bike was more like riding a MotoGP.
Well, you're obviously right, because you're right.
Yeah, because I saw him standing in the back trees, but no, he's obviously taken well to it.
Okay, and what about Vinales then?
Maverick.
Vinales this year, yeah.
Well, someone ate it.
Who's that?
You. And you said by mistake.
It was. Thanks, Mark. It was lovely.
I saw just before this, well, whilst the Moto3 session, qualifying session was on, I had a quick walk of expectations on this man, Petrucci. He's been going well all weekend, and he looked like he could do one of 2 things: either be sick, but I'm not because I was
both being pushed out at Pramac. You know, we know Pekka Bagnaya's got the ride there. He wants a factory ride, but he's going to have to perform, especially if he wants to replace one at Unity.
Colin made a good point when I was talking with him earlier on. The fact is that you only got to remember how much weight he lost to get to where he was last year.
He bikes together both Aprilia engines, and I could out-accelerate him quite easily. The power-weight ratio was quite different then, but back then he must have been 80.
Oh, Nakagami has tipped it off at 15, and that's a quick old left-hander. Second or third gear, you're coming in there.
Oh, I've seen that so many times at that corner over the years.
Usually we blame it on the dew point, but it's a bit too early in the night to...
Trying to work out what they're going to do with Nakagami's machinery.
Yeah, trying to get it back.
Yeah, well... keep an eye on him. I hadn't got him to being one of the top two that's going to go through from qualifying 1 to qualifying 2 until...
Asking too much this morning, and Jack was doing everything he could. I know he was.
But the time...
Yeah, it wasn't far off, was it?
The time was good.
Him and Vinales, but it was funny, Vinales looked like he was going fast, and then I come back to the pit box and expected to see him up there, and I think he was about 14th or 15th.
Looks relatively slow.
That's the three Ducati guys. They're looking good. The bike looks really solid in every area. So Ducati have done their homework and come out swinging this year.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that. People coming out. We're all talking about these things. It's going to be a better year. It's going to be a better year. And I mean, some of the quotes. Do you know my favourite quote of the press?
Wow.
How much do you love that comment?
What a respectful statement.
What a great statement to make. I wrote it down word for word just to make sure you get it right.
Oh, Paul, when you hit the brakes, about there.
Yeah.
It's
face plant.
It's a typical turn 2 crash, but we've not seen many of them, have we?
Isn't that strange that Nakagami's crash
goes in over the horizon? That's it. It dropped by, what was it, 18 degrees yesterday? Track temperature.
These guys have got... No, it's not a one-lap hold your breath. It's people doing long runs. No, it's not look too bad. He's currently in 8th place. Only point...
The electronics that don't grip everything gets my vote every day of the week.
Yeah, the Yamaha electronics are sounding slightly different this year. The only old kind of audible cut you could hear where the bike was reducing power, so they've changed their strategy for sure.
Looks like
the throttle, and that's something you never associated with the Honda in the past. So we heard Hal say that they've made a big step with the engine and he didn't expect to increase power. But
it's the same, second gear corner, dropping it down from, 135 mile an hour down towards turn 16.
We've seen a few there as well, haven't we?
Yeah, did he do
there? Third gear, you go down 1 gear into second, but...
Just goes to show that...
It's there at the back, Keith.
We're talking about dew points. That's been the big thing. Going to see.
Yeah.
So, airbag gone off. That'll go down, and he's got another fire.
Characteristics of this track, it just goes quick. You know, in those situations, you just don't really, for whatever reason, it's a low grip track.
Control what view you want, providing he hasn't just marmalised it, will be okay. But that's a new BT Sport app.
In their suits. Now that it's compulsory, everybody has to. But it's not worked properly. His suit, it didn't go down.
He's took one. You were saying about the airbags. I mean, they do go down. They're just taking longer to go down, aren't they?
Yeah, but a Dane Easy suit, an Alpine Star suit, which
goes down.
Couldn't have picked the bike up and carried on.
No, because he was all inflated.
He was all inflated.
He looked like you in pit lane.
I never relax. Thanks, Michael.
Dovey.
Dovey, 7th quickest,
7:55.9. So there's a guy going to work. He's not too stressed about topping this section. What does he gain by doing a low 55 there? So it'll be interesting to get a summary at the end of the session.
And now that the track has cleaned up, perhaps
Suzuki's in second, and third, fourth, so looking good on their end.
Now,
you know, if you think yesterday he had that issue with the chain
or whatever it was, yeah, we never got to the bottom of that. Did anybody find out what that was?
No, some neat.
But it had to be something. It was a hard metal to hard metal, so it looked like a titanium spark, didn't it? So possibly a bolt. I think the jury's out, isn't it, for Scott? He's got to
big year.
Yeah, very, very big year. Treated anywhere near as well as he should have been.
But that's just put Scott in front of Aleix.
Yeah, in FP4. I don't know. Your middle name, Jules?
Jules gave me some advice before I came in, and says, don't let him bully you around.
Hey,
Al about to go third.
What do you reckon?
Crutchlow, 7th. Don't try and appease him because you give me his lunch. But mind you, there's more roads that lead here now. Maybe they're lost.
Yeah, well anyway, with Reading, it's
just to get the VIP area here.
Is it cheap?
Huge money.
All right.
750 quid. Quick on day one.
I would so love this man to win a race. He was close last year on a couple of occasions. Obviously, he was out of a ride at the Pramac Ducati, in the Pramac Ducati team, because they've already signed Pecco Bagnaia, who's never even won them. Both know as Keith an ex-racer, obviously Michael's a current racer, what that feels like inside. Yeah. You've lost your job before you've even done one race.
Guys that we all love here in BT Sports, and out a little wider, turn 1 again. Look at the dirt when you get off line.
And you've got less grip.
Especially down at that turn 1 in the opening lap.
That's a really decent run.
Impressive run. Yeah.
He looked a little wide everywhere this morning. Colin was commenting on the fact that he just couldn't seem to... Maybe again it was a style of... It's about a race simulation, which is what they're trying to achieve usually in FP4. This man is the man for me at the moment.
Suspension guys, they said tomorrow's race is all about the front tyre. The issue is a lot of people are struggling to use the hard front, and you risk that horrible crash where you just don't get a chance to
Probably
save.
why Danny Pedrosa is seemingly struggling so much here at the moment.
Touch with Petrucci's time up to sector 3, so was he smoking the tyre?
Yeah, it was. Sort of square.
Even it's such a more user-friendly bike than it used to be.
Noticed on slow-mo cameras as well, you watch the old Honda with the front that's really got
So the risk
front again.
Yeah, the risk element for those guys is those early laps, Keith, isn't it? You know, if Marquez, you know, you lock him down, you go.
Zarco last year, I mean, he could run, he always ran soft tyres, and last year here, I believe Rivio, on the outlap yesterday, was it?
Yeah. Sort of missed what that was all about.
Never saw at all. It was certainly
Would
one
have pit lane into Petrucci's path, and there was a bit of upset and a few hand signals and gestures on the way around that lap.
I read a quote somewhere and slightly tangled with Petrucci at the time. It's the start of the school expectation. It's been a really tricky opening couple of days.
Vinales, we know he's on that. I was about to say 15, so it's 15th lap.
So that's a proper race run. That bodes well. So we've been talking about it being in trouble all weekend, but
Like set up to achieve something on a long run, compared with what he's got to do to get himself in the right position.
There's one thing, he'll sleep better tonight, having got a proper long run under his belt.
It's what, 12. We're going to be finished quite early, aren't we, this evening, thinking about it. You know, there's no chance of a dew point. That's the end of FP4. Dobby on top. Ales looked real strong then.
And Rinz's stock values just slowly just going up every session that goes.
Spot anything there that's interesting? I mean, apart from the fact they just put some mileage on their motorcycles.
For me, it's Vinales. Vinales is the standout of that.
so quite impressive from him. And Petrucci was pretty consistent in the 55 range. So yeah, a lot of guys working on the longer run.